Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Looking for these better days.
It is Wednesday, August 5th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. A bunch of contracts handed out in the NFL yesterday as the preseason is upon us. The Hall of Fame game is tomorrow. Plus, we continue our 32 in 32 NFL team previews with today's team, the Tennessee Titans. But we are joined by, he is a frequent contributor here on Better Day, and my co-host on the Better Day Football Show coming up starting on August 13th. Steve Fezzik joins us on this episode of Better Day presented by FanDuel. Fez, thank you for doing this. I wanted to get you on before our football show started because I want to talk preseason football with you. And so many people, I've gotten messages in our community chat from members who just want to know tips on betting the NFL preseason. Everybody's salivating now, Fez. The Hall of Fame game's tomorrow. We finally made it. We have football here. What is your approach?
It's a great question. The information's king. Our friend, the Hitman, is the ultimate in terms of who's going to be playing and the like. That being said, there's things that repeat itself over and over, namely, the value of the 1 and the 2 in preseason. Games land 1 and 2 way more because teams will go for 2 at the end of the game. So, here's an example. Arizona is catching anywhere from +1.5 to pick. Don't bet Arizona at pick 'em. Get the +1.5 if you like Arizona to get the better of it. And the books, they're in preseason too. They make mistakes in terms of the lines. What's this? Just yesterday, Scott, let me ask you this. I found a book and low limits, you can't bet that much. And they had a prop bet on, let me make sure I get this right. Yeah, first half, last team to score in the first half. What should the odds be, do you think? I bet Arizona. What do you think? What is the best? This game is basically lined at close to pick 'em. Yep. Arizona, tiny underdog.
Yep.
What do you think would be the best money line I could have gotten on Arizona?
-105?
I got +145.
How does that make sense?
+145.
But until you know who gets the ball first, you don't know who has the advantage.
Doesn't matter. It's the last team, not first team to score.
I know,
last team to score.
If you're trying to count the possessions, though, how do you
Oh, you forget that. I mean, that wouldn't mean anything until 5 minutes were left. And I think it's a 3-way line, so I think I lose if it's 0-0 because they're pricing it like a European model, like there's a draw. Yeah. But you, as we all know, draws happen all the time in soccer. It would have to be a 0-0 draw at the end of the first half. The chances of that happening are extremely low. So +145, crazy.
Do you think if you bet that in every single game for the entire season, just take the side that has the plus money, you'd come out profitable?
No, because it would be priced correctly, and you'd have a if it was a pick 'em, you'd be laying -112 on each direction, and if you had a 10-point favorite, the favorite probably be -145. The dog would be +125.
Yeah.
But now I'm getting +145 with a team that's not even the dog. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's why you said, what's the best line? And I thought it's a pick 'em game. Maybe the best line you got was -105.
That's what it should be.
Yeah, that's my inclination there. Up on FanDuel right now, it is the Cardinals at Carolina -1.5, and the total of 35.5. But as you mentioned, Fez, Circa's got to pick them out there. Total still at 35.5. And for all the talk about unders in the Hall of Fame game, and yes, unders were on a good run. I believe it's now 4 straight overs we've seen here in the Hall of Fame game. Do you have any lean on the total being 35.5?
I think it should be 35.25, meaning 35 looks slightly low, 35.5 slightly high. DraftKings has a 36.5. That's enough. I'd be willing to go under 36.5. But at 35.5, I would just small lean to the under. Canales, he doesn't like winning in preseason. He probably wouldn't mind winning, but he doesn't care. Last year, he lost 30-10, 20-3, and 19-10. That's not a coach with Carolina that you're looking to invest in.
I would love to do a little bit more research on this. And full disclosure, I have not, because this is something I thought of here, this morning, as we're recording this podcast on Tuesday. Full disclosure, theater of the mind, people, we know it's not actually Wednesday morning, it's Tuesday. But I was thinking about first-year head coaches And do they lean towards the overs in preseason? Because not only do they want to establish like a culture right away, right? Like we're going out here, we're trying to fight, like we don't quit, we play till the final whistle, all that fun rah rah stuff, right? But also, you're still trying to work on things throughout the preseason. You're learning a system. So while yes, on one hand you might think it leans towards the under because the offense is still getting used to a new system, but I actually think it's the opposite because they're going to continue to try and score. They're not just satisfied with, hey, there's 4 minutes left in the game. Let's just play out the strings. Nobody get hurt and let's go advance the next week. They're thinking, here's another live opportunity that we have to work on this brand new offensive install and try and score points.
Yeah, by example, also, when you take a new job, your first week on that job, are you going to mail it in or are you going to, put your best foot forward? You want to show everyone that you belong, right? And there's always, questions being asked. So I think first year head coaches in the fourth quarter, I don't know if they have an advantage in the first quarter, but as the game progresses, I think it means more to them to try to establish a relationship with their new city, their new organization,
Mm-hmm.
the media, and not have to answer questions about why their team looked unprepared, whereas the Rams don't care.
Do you care about, Harbaugh anymore because of how good he was with Baltimore in the preseason? Do you think it's going to be similar with the New York Giants?
I would bet on him or I would pass.
Okay.
I think, in general, Harbaugh looks like the type of guy, right? When he was playing pickup basketball with like a sibling that was 2 years younger, he would absolutely refuse to like give an inch, even when he was killing, his brother, right? So that's the type of guy you want to bet on when the games are meaningless because they still mean something to him.
So overall, how much will you bet the NFL preseason?
Well, that's a great question. It depends how hard I work, frankly. Just driving around, I went into a book and I made 4 bets. Like I said, didn't expect to make any bets
Mm-hmm.
and just stuff hanging on the wall. I found a bet, which half will be higher scoring, first half or second half. Let me ask you this. You probably know I bet first half. What do you think I had to lay?
First half should be significantly favored because backups and third stringers and guys that are going to be bagging groceries playing in the second half. So I'd say it's got to be close to minus 200.
Well, that would be too much, but directionally you're right. I got
Mhm.
minus 120.
Oh, it's not.
So
That's it. It
yeah, I
feels
mean,
like it should. It feels like it should be
it's
much
like
heavier. Yeah, I don't get that.
you hear all the time. Vegas knows. Vegas knows everything. Vegas has all these models. They know everything. If there was one thing I'd emphasize, Vegas and all of the Hall of Fame bookmakers know nothing. That's why they're accepting bets and they all just copy the lines and they make tons of money because it's almost impossible to beat a market number day of the game, laying minus 110. And as soon as the number is cemented in place, the number is correct. But you ask a Vegas bookmaker to make a virgin line on anything unusual,
Mhm.
eh, the mistakes that are made are staggering. It's just not their cup of tea.
And this is probably the best time to shop around and take advantage of the different lines across different books because, as you mentioned, a lot of these bookmakers aren't sure how to price a lot of these preseason games and the preseason derivative markets. So you can take advantage of that. I mean, we just talked about it at the start of the show, looking at the total for this game. You can play the 35.5, or you can get an under 36.5. And you know what? Maybe by the time we get to kickoff on Thursday, someone's posting a 37 out there and you can get an under. So this is probably the best opportunity to shop around and take advantage of the different books pricing these games differently.
Well, and you know that the market is beatable because the limits during the regular season are
Yeah.
100,000 and you're going to struggle to get $1,000 down in some books right now early in the week
Yeah,
during the
absolutely.
preseason. That the bookmaker is telling you, I have no idea what the number should be. I'm just guessing. And the market's just guessing. And why are those limits so low? Because they used to be larger and they got their teeth kicked in.
Mhm.
So they hate the preseason. Now, not as bad as the draft, where they actually have taken all the games off the board. Now the limits are 0 at
Yeah.
some places because they can't win against the sharpest bettors with the draft. But in preseason, they know people want to bet it. It's profitable for the bookmaker because of all the square ball money, and they just limit the max to prevent the professional money from beating them too badly.
Well, speaking of the NFL preseason, Fez, up on BetterDay.com and on the Better Day mobile app, your preseason power ratings have been posted. And we do specify at the top of the page, it'll say there, right there, preseason power ratings. They're updated throughout August as we approach kickoff. So these numbers can change prior to week one, is what I'm trying to say. Right? We're confirming we could change these numbers before we get to kickoff of week number one.
Lest anyone starts rushing to your website thinking they've found the holy grail, these are regular season power ratings published during the time of the preseason.
Yes.
So I don't have power ratings telling you which team to bet on during the preseason. These are to set lines during the regular season. And shocker, wait for it, the Rams are my number one rated team.
Yes, you will see if you go to the NFL tab up on BetterDay.com or click on the NFL tab under the sports list up on the Better Day mobile app. Just click on the power ratings and you'll see week one, which means it's week one of the NFL season. These are Fez's power ratings, but like I said, they will be updated before week one. And the Los Angeles Rams are your number one team, Fez. You have them as a plus 6.9, meaning 6.9 points better than an average team. And your second highest rated team is the Buffalo Bills at plus 4.3. Now, that's a significant drop off between number one and number two, because if you look at the rest of the ratings, you'll see that these teams are very close, like Baltimore, Seattle, both at 3.9. You look at Philly and Green Bay, both 2.7. But to see that drop off between number one and number two, how did you get to that big of a gap?
So the way I set my power ratings, there's two ways to do it. One would be the Kenny White methodology, which is great. You go through and evaluate how good a team was, additions and subtractions, add how much these dudes were worth, and come up with an updated power rating. I lack the acumen to even be able to attempt this. So my method is largely a market-based method to start. I look at what a team's season win number will be. And if they're 8.5 for their season win and they have an average schedule, strength of schedule, they should be a 0 because there's 17 games. If they're supposed to win 9.5 games, then they're a 2. 10.5, they're a 4. 11.5, they're a 6. And vice versa, dropping on the bottom. That's the starting point. Then I adjust for how difficult their schedule is. By example, the Rams play a very difficult schedule. So even though their season win number is an 11.8, they're actually better than a typical 11.8 season win team.
Let me interrupt you. Are you using the strength of schedule numbers based on the win totals, not the record from last year, right? You're using the strength of schedule based on the win total projections.
Yeah, nobody uses that anymore. That's like it's funny because people are say, I think it's a better measure to use the season win numbers of teams than last year's record, but that's been known for 20 years. And I just use Mark Lawrence's. I just grab Mark Lawrence's magazine, and every team has the strength of schedule, how many games their opponents are supposed to win, and I divide it by 17. And so the Rams' average opponent is supposed to win 8.9 games. So that's a significantly harder schedule than an average schedule. So I bump the Rams up a little bit for that. And then I use your own trench report. What's this? The Rams are the number one trench report team in the NFL. This was a shock to me. I always thought, I think about the Rams, Stafford, Puka, skill position players, thin, they get injured, they're in trouble, and they're actually rock solid on the line. So I feel they're undervalued because of that. So I did indeed bump them up. And what's this? The Cincinnati Bengals, the worst trench report of all of the NFL teams. So I make an adjustment for that. And then there's certain sources, Football Outsiders, Cleve TA, those guys have opinions on teams, and they don't like Baltimore, for instance. Their average season win number on Baltimore is 9.9. So I lowered Baltimore based upon their projections. They love the Jets, so I bumped the Jets a little bit. Although I have to tell you, Scott, my friends, with the Jets, they believe the Jets stands for just end the season.
Always has.
And every week they text me after the Jets lose and they get no interceptions, throw a pick six. And they say, should we bet the Jets again next week? It's another good spot.
And it's another letdown for anybody who does bet on the New York Jets. What a disaster it would be if the Jets actually had a good season, because that means Aaron Glenn stays around. That means Geno Smith's back for another year. Like, that would be the worst thing to happen for this franchise is they
You
actually
just
have a good
can't,
season.
you cannot price enough how having a coach that doesn't understand the intricacies
Yep.
of the NFL. It doesn't even show up in necessarily in the stats, but by example, all the years under the Patriots where their stats were okay, but they so outperformed on the scoreboard. Little things like let's hand the ball off to White with 2 minutes to play in the first half. Tick, tick, tick. Run the clock down. We'll end the first half possession with us having the ball, not leave our opponent any time. These are things that New England always did right, and the Jets and teams like that always did wrong.
100%. Do you have to account for first year head coaches in your power ratings a little bit? Like, do teams get a little bit of a downgrade? I would assume I'm not talking about like Harbaugh with the Giants. Like, I would say the Giants probably got an upgrade in your rankings because of Harbaugh. But when you look at, the Cardinals, you look at Miami, like, do you drop those teams down because of first time head coaches?
100%, not in preseason, but for the regular season, who
Yeah.
knows? For Arizona, LaFleur, Miami, Halfley. I don't like it when people like project how good a coach someone's going to be.
Mhm.
It's all guesswork, in my
Exactly.
opinion. You just
Yeah.
never know, what's going to happen. What was interesting is I thought Saleh was basically a disaster, and here he is. Here he is with Tennessee. What could possibly go wrong, right?
Yeah. And everyone's high on Tennessee. Speaking of the Titans, we will get to them coming up in a few minutes here as part of our 32 in 32 team previews. But before we let you go, Fez, I want to talk a little bit about your betting boot camp that occurred last weekend here in Las Vegas. It's a busy time here in Vegas. A lot of people coming into town to do some, betting conventions and sign up for contests. I've been enjoying the first couple episodes of the Circa Survivor documentary, by the way. Waiting to see Steve Fezzik in there. But
Might happen.
Yeah,
It might happen.
it's been fun to watch and get into football mode, of course. But talk a little bit about the boot camp. I had the fortunate opportunity to attend on Friday and speak to the audience a little bit about some of the things that we've been working on at Better Day and some of the ways that I live bet college football because I that's one of my specialties is live betting. But talk to me about some of the things that you discussed and maybe uncovered during your betting boot camp that you want to share with our audience a little bit.
Well, the beauteous thing is when you've got great experts like you, Scott, Michael Fiddle, Carl Sack, Bill Krakenberger. So something for everyone. You've got legends speaking, you've got experts, how people set their power ratings and the like. I'll share one thing that we discussed about live wagering in college football, and I call it the white flag under. All right. I love in a blowout betting a white flag under. What is a white flag under? And that's when a bad team like Tulsa's playing Oklahoma and there's like 9 minutes to play and Tulsa trails by 28 and they have like 4th and 5 from midfield and they punt. They're basically saying, no mas, you win. We just don't want to get annihilated. And so Oklahoma responds by running the ball 15 straight times on their next drive because the game's over. Cease hostilities. The opposite is Tulsa goes for it on 4th and 5 from midfield. And what would you, to quote John Goodman in Revenge of the Nerds, these guys just went for it in the fourth quarter, 4th and 5 against us. If it was me, I'd do something about it, right? And ultimately, you can expect when a team does that, that the favorite is going to pound them and score again and again and again.
Yeah, no, that's a really good aspect of it. Looking at what the teams decide to do, those white flag unders, or maybe it's not a white flag; it's an over in the opposite direction. You mentioned all the great speakers. I was kind of bummed that I didn't get an opportunity to see Crackman speak, but what was the best part about his presentation? Was it stories from his past or any tips that he gave out for the audience?
Oh, the stories were great. I love he just started pulling tickets out from the South Point. And he's like, yeah, let's see. I got Reno plus 18.5 against UNLV. I got Utah, BYU. I don't even know who he bet on. He bet the dog plus 2.5. It's like I think he bet I don't even know. He made the game pick 'em. So he bet Kansas against Kansas State, catching like 9, I think, and again 7.5. So you can just see he's just going to like drive over to the bank and throw all those tickets into a safe deposit box, and 2 months later it's like it's like a time capsule.
Yeah.
He'll like dig up the time capsule and see how he did at the end of college football year, I guess.
It's amazing. Always shopping for those opportunities and grabbing them while they last, because that +9 might be +7 tomorrow, or so you got to hit it when you see it. And he is one of the best at absolutely doing that and operating. Fez, you are one of the best. We appreciate all your contributions. Can't wait to get started with the Better Day Football Show with you, me, and Duck on August 13th, every Thursday, live stream at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. We will podcast the show afterwards, so you can listen to it at your leisure. You can check out Fez's power ratings up on BetterDay.com and the Better Day mobile app. For Better Day Premium members, Fez will have select picks for us. But if you want Fez's full betting card, you got to head to SICPicks.com. Fez is teamed up with Dr. Chow's group. A lot of great injury information, of course, from the great Dr. Chow. And Fez, I would imagine, as it always has, because you've been associates with Dr. Chow for a while, but I would imagine the injury numbers now play a larger role into your handicapping.
Oh, and it's a big part of my opening power rating, because I take Dr. Chow's numbers from last year, and any team that was super healthy, like the Jacksonville Jaguars, I lower their power rating because they had an injury advantage last year. It's very unclear whether that's going to continue moving forward, and certainly not to the same level. By contrast, any team that got murdered with injuries, I'm just taking a look overall at my numbers. But Arizona got crushed on injuries last year, so I would have a big injury adjustment for them. It's hard though this year, Scott, because there's a lot of arrows pointing up for Miami, Arizona, Cleveland, and the Jets, 4 teams that the organizations may not even want to win this year.
Yeah.
So that's counterintuitive.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I think those might be the 4 worst teams in the maybe not Cleveland, but Miami and Arizona are certainly going to be competing for the number 1 overall pick, in my opinion. And Arizona, here's another teaser, the most difficult strength of schedule according to our Better Day Trench Report. So Arizona, the most difficult trench strength of schedule. Make sure you guys open up today's newsletter if you haven't done so already, because we will include a link and a promo code to Fez's package up on SIC Picks. And of course, we look forward to all of Fez's contributions to BetterDay.com for all Better Day members, insider members, and premium members looking for the picks as well. Thanks, Fez.
And I don't have a website. Don't go to stevef.com. That's not me. Be careful. Only SIC Picks.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Baseball fans, think you know who's hitting a homer today? Well, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. Joining the action's easy. Just make your free pick on who's hitting a home run in their game. And if you're right, you'll get a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. You've got nothing to lose and a lot to gain. And don't forget, you can make a free pick every day during MLB season. It's just another way FanDuel is home for home runs. So, are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com/believe. That's FanDuel.com/believe to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. 21 plus in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DC, Kentucky, Wyoming. No purchase necessary. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050 in Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY New York. Call 1-877-770-7867 in Louisiana.
Before we get to our 32 in 32 preview of the Tennessee Titans, some news around the NFL. Bijan Robinson and the Falcons agreed on a 3-year contract extension worth up to $75 million that will make him the highest paid running back in NFL history. That was the good news for the Falcons yesterday. The bad news is that their talented edge rusher, Jalen Walker, is feared to have suffered a torn ACL. Walker was the 15th overall pick in last year's draft, had 5.5 sacks in his rookie season. The Chicago Bears have given their right tackle Darnell Wright a historic 4-year contract extension, $116 million, making him the highest paid right tackle in NFL history. So lots of money being handed out yesterday in the NFL. Let's get to our 32 in 32 NFL team preview of the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee coming off back-to-back 3-win seasons, but major changes in the offseason, both in the front office, on the sidelines, and in the locker room as well. Robert Saleh takes over as the head coach. You know he brings the defense. The Jets consistently ranked as a top defense under Saleh, and they immediately went downhill after he was fired. And Saleh, knowing that he needs some help on the offensive side, brought in Brian Daboll, former Giants head coach, to run the offense. And Daboll does have a history of working with quarterbacks. We, of course, know what he did with Josh Allen. He also made Daniel Jones a guy worth paying. And to load up on this offense, the Titans drafted Carnell Tate with the 4th overall pick to give quarterback Cam Ward a number 1 weapon on the outside. You still have Calvin Ridley there looking to make a resurgence in his career. And Wan'Dale Robinson actually followed Brian Daboll from New York to be a solid number 3 option or number 2 option. He'll likely be playing in the slot. The Titans up on FanDuel plus 430 to make the playoffs. 6.5 wins is their projected win total. Minus 115 to the under, minus 105 to the over. As far as some stats are concerned, also awards market, right? Robert Saleh plus 1,600 to be the coach of the year. Carnell Tate plus 650, the third favorite to be the offensive rookie of the year. But some stats that I thought were interesting. Cam Ward's total passing touchdowns, 19.5. Carnell Tate receiving yards, 774.5. Now, if you look back to Malik Neighbors' rookie season under Brian Daboll, Neighbors had 170 targets that year. So we know Brian Daboll is not afraid to call plays for a rookie. But how good will Carnell Tate be with Cam Ward this year? I mean, Cam Ward played the position pretty badly last season. But now he's got a legit number 1 option to go along with, as I mentioned, Ridley and Wan'Dale Robinson under what is perceived to be a big boost at the coaching position with Brian Daboll. A lot of high expectations for Tennessee this year. But the offensive line has issues. There's position battles here in camp in multiple spots on their offensive line. Overall, the Titans rank 18th in our preseason trench report. They do play the 12th ranked trench report strength of schedule. So it's not an easy schedule. It is the 12th most difficult schedule trench-wise in the NFL. Steve Fezzik has them 27th in his power ratings, his preseason power ratings, at minus 4.8. So 4.8 points worse than an average team. I don't know what to think about this win total of 6.5, because on one hand, I do agree the Titans are much improved this season. But until I see it from Cam Ward, I don't know if I can trust it. The schedule's manageable. Because it's a last place schedule, you'll have games against other bad teams like the New York Jets, the Giants, the Cleveland Browns, but they also face the AFC North and the NFC East. So that means games against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Baltimore Ravens. They'll play the Detroit Lions, as well as an improved Las Vegas Raiders team. So it's an accurate line, in my opinion. I don't really have a take one way or the other. I can see them very easily being a 6-win team. I can also see them being a 7-win team, but I don't think that they'll be like a 4 or 5-win team. I don't think they'll be an 8 or a 9-win team. So I think they'll be right around that 6.5 number. So that wraps up the AFC South for us. And tomorrow we will get into the AFC West with the Denver Broncos. The Hall of Fame game is also tomorrow. My thanks to Steve Fezzik for joining us here on the pod, giving us a little preseason betting tutorial. And we look forward to Fez's contributions, of course, throughout the football season. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Better Day YouTube page, as well as following us on Twitter at Better_Day. The new podcast lineup is launching soon, and our first football live stream is on Thursday, August 13th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.